All right, let's talk about a moment that I'm sure every parent has experienced. It's that moment you look at your child who is completely ignoring something you've asked them to do, and that one word pops into your head: lazy. But what if we've been reading this situation completely wrong?
Let that sink in for a second. That behavior you're seeing, you know the one. The blank stare, the way they just disappear into their phone, the flat-out refusal to even start. It's not what it looks like.
He's not being lazy. He is hiding. He's pulling back from a world that, in that moment, has just become too noisy, too demanding, too much. Every single argument, every distraction, it's an escape hatch.
And look, of course you're angry. It feels personal, doesn't it? It feels like disrespect. It feels like they're challenging you on purpose. Your frustration is completely real and totally valid. But it might be aimed at a ghost, because the real enemy is invisible.
So this is the core idea we're digging into here. This isn't about a character flaw, it's not a bad attitude or a lack of motivation. What we're actually witnessing is a coping mechanism. It's a survival strategy.
To really get what's going on, we have to start with your point of view. We have to be honest about how almost any parent would see this behavior in the heat of the moment. That little voice in your head starts up, right? He knows what I asked. He heard me perfectly fine. He is choosing to defy me. It feels so intentional. It feels like he's starting a power struggle just to push your buttons.
Okay, but now let's flip the script. Let's pull back the curtain and look past that frustrating surface to what's really driving this. Because inside your child's brain, a very, very different story is playing out. So here's the breakdown. What you and I see as defiance is actually a state of overload. What looks like him just not caring, like total indifference, is really his brain trying to protect itself. And what feels like a deliberate attempt to provoke you, well, that's actually a desperate search for even a little bit of control.
So, let's just define what we're talking about. This so-called laziness is basically the brain's emergency brake. It is not a choice. It is a system shutdown that kicks in when the circuits are completely fried. It's the absolute last line of defense.
And this is such a powerful way to picture it. Imagine you were actually drowning. You wouldn't be thinking about your to-do list, right? You'd be flailing, grabbing for anything to keep your head above water. That is what's happening. He's drowning in schoolwork, in social pressures, in your expectations, and in his own private fear that he just can't handle it all. And when everything feels like it's spinning out of control, the human brain desperately seeks just one thing: a feeling of being in charge of something, no matter how small. And those behaviors that drive us up the wall, they're often just that, a cry for control.
So let's look at what this actually looks like. That retreat into a phone? That's him escaping to a small, predictable world that he can control. Arguing about which shoes to wear? It is never, ever about the shoes. It's about winning one tiny battle when he feels like he's losing the entire war. And shutting down completely? Refusing to cooperate? That's the ultimate act of control, because you cannot force him to engage.
So this is the thing to remember. These actions are not about pushing you away. They're about your child trying to find solid ground when everything feels like an earthquake. It's not an attack on you. It's a rescue mission he has launched for himself.
So what can we do? How do we help? The answer isn't bigger punishments or more lectures. The path back to each other, to reconnecting, it starts with a huge shift in your own perspective.
If you only take away one thing, let it be this: your child is not broken. He's not wired wrong. He is a perfectly normal kid whose system is just maxed out. And here's the good news: you can help. You can be the one to throw him the lifeline.
So I want to leave you with this question. What if you changed your goal? What if this isn't a battle of wills that you have to win? What if, instead, you saw a person who was struggling to stay afloat, and your job was to be the lifeguard? That one little shift, well, it changes absolutely everything.